Recently, I've been dealing with a lot of emotions due to the deaths of a good friend and a close relative. So, today's video, I'm going to look into aging, grief, and death. So, stay tuned. So let me start with a disclaimer. I am not a therapist. This video, I'm sharing my personal experiences in dealing with grief, various forms of grief. And I wanted to answer the questions around, is it okay to feel anger or guilt when someone you love dies, and also that feeling of how can I support someone, a friend or a family member who's recently experienced a loss? And then lastly, what are some healthy ways to express grief? And again, I've recently had to deal with this myself, and I thought it would be helpful to put it out there in case any of my viewers are experiencing this. I decided to call this video Emotional Soup because I felt like I was having so many emotions during the last 2 to 3 weeks, and it almost felt like I was having a bowl of soup that someone had just served up to me because at any given moment I felt confusion, there was shock, there was anger, happiness because I recently retired. There was excitement around that, but there was also this other range of emotions that came up as a result of the deaths of my friend Marie in July, and most recently my cousin Sonia, that I've known all my life. So just the thought of everything that was occurring for me, it just felt like this is almost like an emotional soup. So that's why I decided to name the video that. While trying to figure out why I was feeling this way, I decided to do a little bit of research because I just kept thinking it is like so crazy that I'm happy one minute and then I'm feeling guilty about my daily activities. There's got to be some explanation for it. So I did use the internet and I came across a few articles, but I also came across a few YouTube videos that were very helpful. The first, and I'm going to look at the title. Um, the first is how grief affects your brain, which I thought was very interesting. And I'm going to link to both of the videos that I'm referencing at the end of this video. So if you want to take a look at them, you can. But in that video, they talked about how going through the various emotions of grief affects your brain, how it releases cortisol, which might affect your immune system if it's out for a prolonged period of time, which might result in, you being lethargic or might even eventually get sick. Another video that I watched is titled A Solo Journey Through Grief. And in that video, the podcast host discusses how grief is really an individual journey. And when you think about it, or when I thought about it, it made sense because everyone has an individual relationship with the person who died. So my perspective is going to be different from another cousin who had a different relationship. So I thought that that was helpful to know that we all will grieve differently based on what our relationship was and based on who we are as individuals. Another thing that she mentioned that I thought was helpful is ring theory. I was not familiar with that concept. So seeing the diagram, and I'm going to include the diagram here, but seeing the diagram and how we rely on various friends, coworkers, our children as our support system was very helpful to know, and it was a good reference. So, as we're looking at the ring theory diagram, the way I'm interpreting it is that the outer bands pour inward, so they provide support to the person, going toward the center, the bullseye. And if you're looking at the inner bands, they would seek support by someone at an outer level. So, hopefully that makes sense, but I just thought it was very helpful. In my case, I found the most prominent emotions that I was having were feelings of sadness and guilt. And a lot of the guilt was centered around just not feeling like or wondering if did I do enough or did I reach out enough? Or the last time, Marie had invited me to a couple of events and I didn't go for whatever the reason was. And I found myself thinking, dang, should I have gone? But I had no idea. I did not know she was sick, nor did I know that I didn't know how sick she was. So there was no sense of urgency for me to attend the event. But I did have definitely some guilt around that. And also, even did I provide enough support? Like, did I do everything that I could? And the sadness was just basically that I missed my friend and I will now miss my cousin, even though she's in another city, just knowing that she, was on the other end of the phone, or when I did visit Houston, I could see her and have dinner with her. Um, Definitely, she will be missed. So you might be wondering, how does aging play into all of this? This is honestly something I never really thought about, but now that I'm 60, I'm realizing that the conversations with my friends, they've shifted. In the past, when you're young, you talk about all the exciting things, where are we going to dinner? Where are we traveling? What do you want to do for your birthday? But now that, I'm aging and my friends are aging also, in addition to some of those conversations, the shift in conversation is around illness and death. So it's typically once a week or once every other week, I'm hearing about someone's diagnoses, they have some sort of illness, or someone has recently died. And it's one of those shifts that kind of creeps up on you, and then you realize, like, wow, every other conversation or every third conversation, someone is sharing that, oh, did you hear that so and so died, or did you hear that so and so has dementia? So it's definitely, I'm learning, part of the aging process is that our bodies are, I guess, in a period of decline, and we do the best we can with them, but I'm having to get comfortable with those conversations. And it's also causing me to look at my own mortality. When I was younger, you feel like you're invincible, you have so much time to do whatever you want to do. But now at this age, I'm realizing I have lived more life than I have left. So I really do try to enjoy every day. In terms of how I'm dealing with the recent deaths, I have made a point to share my feelings, and I've got a few friends, very close friends, that have been very supportive and just listened to me as I've shared to them, again, on any given day, how am I feeling? Am I happy? Am I sad? Am I kind of coping with it? I do appreciate their friendship and willing to listen to me for as long as it would take. I'm also really trying to pivot and shift from the anger, guilt, and sadness, because there was some anger there too, um, to more of a just thinking of happy memories. And I'm finding that that is very helpful for me. So when I think of Marie, we would swim and we did a lot of training together. So we would swim together. We would also, go for walks. On occasion, we rode our bikes. Um, so now when I think of her, I really do try to think of just the fun conversations that we had, or doing swim drills and how goofy we might have been trying to do those drills. And in terms of Sonia, when I think of her, I just think of the times when I was in LA just talking about family anecdotes, or, having dinner, what kind of food we were eating, stuff like that. But I really am focusing more on the positive memories and trying to remember their voices and just things that we did and that we talked about when I think of them. With each passing day, I realize I could not have done more, and I don't blame myself. I don't have the guilt, and I'm giving myself um, just grace and knowing that Sonia and Marie were very strong, capable women, and they made the decisions that worked best for them. And I have to accept that and respect that. And that's what I've chosen to do. I respect their decisions. So, going back to the original questions, is it normal to feel guilty or angry after a loved one dies? And I'm going to say yes. I think it is normal. So if you're having those feelings, it's because we love and care for our loved ones. So know that it is normal. Seek out some way to process those feelings, either by talking with someone, a professional or a friend, journaling. You might want to go out for walks in nature, which is what I tend to do. But yeah, I think those feelings are normal. The second question, how can I support a friend or family member who is grieving? And I think you can either reach out to that person and ask them, do you need anything? Do you need someone to talk to or listen? And if they say yes, I think one of the key things is that you actually listen to them and just let them talk about how they're feeling, what their thoughts are, and you don't necessarily have to have a solution for them. And you don't want to say, oh, well, yeah, I know, or, you're lucky, you're blessed, or you're this or you're that. Just really listen to them. And they will, I'm sure, appreciate that. And the last question was, what are some healthy ways to express grief? I know for me, it's healthy to talk or write things out. I do like to journal. I like to write little short stories or write little poems or whatever. Writing is very good for me, and also physical activity. But I think that, it depends on the individual, but do some of the things that you enjoy doing and maybe do them in honor of the person that you lost. So I'm going to end with this, and I'm saying this to myself as much as I'm saying it to you. Death is a normal part of the life cycle, and we hear that, but now that I'm closer to death, it really is ringing home that it's nothing for me to be afraid of. But in terms of grieving the loss of a loved one, it's a normal part of life, and there's definitely a grieving process. Some of the articles that I read said it might take up to a year, and to know that you never get over it, I think it's just a matter of you learn better coping mechanisms with it because you're always going to love the person who died, you're always going to miss them. So it's not like there's a final date and time when those feelings are going to go away. It's just that you kind of get better at dealing with them. I am going to do my best to continue to acknowledge my feelings and recognize them, not try to suppress them or pretend that I'm not feeling a certain way. And I'll continue talking with my friends and just reaching out to them for support as I need it. Not going to be embarrassed to share what I'm going through. And I would say if you have any positive thoughts or suggestions on good way to grieve or good way to handle grief, please include them in the comments section. I know they'll be helpful for me and they'll probably be helpful for others. If this video was helpful for you, let me know. And also take a minute to like and subscribe to my channel. Take care and thank you for listening and supporting me. Have a good day.